Substack here. Should I be logged in to follow along, or would that be helpful?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, that actually probably would be helpful to do a little following along.
And just one other quick question.
Mhm.
When people are publishing to outside sources, are they branding this as an initiative, or or is it just going under personal
Oh, good question.
names? I was just wondering about that, how.
Yeah, we haven't said that, but that's not a bad idea. Like, are you talking about letter to the editor op-ed?
Right. So for
Yeah.
example, let's say you had a guest essay in the Washington Post, right? I mean, you would think, you would want to sort of connect people with what's going on. But then
Mhm.
on the other hand, I thought, well, is that something, if you're strongly opinionated, is that something that would be acceptable for the group? I just didn't, not that I'm saying, my essay will be in the Post anytime soon,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
just in case, yeah.
One thing I would consider is they usually have an identifier, not in a letter to the editor, but a commentary has an identifier, Jay Bradley is a professor at blah, 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 and a member of the John Dewey Society Democracy Initiative. So wherever we had the opportunity, if we were putting an editorial in Ed Week or something like that, I think we should encourage people to say you're part of the John Dewey Society initiative.
Yeah, I think okay. A member of that. I think
Yeah.
that's fair. Yes, fair
Okay.
enough. Yes.
That's
Yeah.
what I would do at this point. We may change our minds, but I think
Mhm.
that would be like as a letter to the editor, there's not really any room. You'll see
Right.
if we're going to edit mine, but there's not, I reprinted the letter to the editor and there's not really any place to say, John Dewey Society president or something. Who cares? Um, and I don't really care. I want them to get the idea, but that might be something we could do.
Mhm. Yeah, I like that idea.
Sorry, I didn't mean
Okay.
to
No, that's fine. No,
interrupt.
no, these are all good questions.
Mhm.
All right. Well, we will go ahead and get started. So, just one of the
Erin,
things that we talk about. Oh, yes, Andra.
I was just gonna wonder if we can stop recording, or are you trying to record this?
We're trying to record
Oh, you are.
so
Okay.
that we can offer the recording to others who weren't able to make these two sessions.
Okay, perfect.
Okay. So, one of the things that we talk about in the steering committee and that we want everybody to know is that as we're navigating this project, we're Deweyians doing Dewey, so we're learning as we go. With just the conversation we were just having about do we want to self-identify and brand ourselves? That's kind of how the conversations are going. So, there are ideas that we don't even know about yet, and we're just experimenting as we go. So things will evolve. So the who's who of the John Dewey Society Democracy Initiative, Barb Stengel is leading the initiative, and you can reach out to her with questions about anything, with logistics. And if you reach out to her about a question about something, then she can redirect it to whomever needs to be redirected to. Uh, I'm Erin Scussel and I'm acting as tech support. So you can reach out to me with any questions about using Substack or other social media. I can help you share your Substack stuff on other social media. We have Shay Meyer and Jay Bradley. They have volunteered to be available as optional editors. So use their expertise and send your work to Shay or Jay to have them do a once over on it before posting. They can give you some editorial advice. So use that if you don't have somebody else to lay eyes on it before you publish. And then our other steering committee members are Christy Cameron, Ninny Wallstrom, and Rudy Hildreth. So getting started on Substack, the first thing that you have to do is create your own Substack account. So when you do that, you'll create your account and then you can set up your profile just like you would with any other social media. And you can use your profile picture, or you don't have to use a profile picture, give yourself a bio, etc. And then after you set up your own Substack account, you should accept your invitation to be a contributor. Invitations were sent out May 28th, and there's one invite that was sent out May 29th, and we figured out who that was yesterday. So if you are still looking for your invitation, you will want to go back through your email back to May 28th. The other option would be to reach out to Barb or myself, and we can resend that invitation to you. And then once you do that, you're all set. So that's a pretty simple startup process. You can start writing and start sharing after you get your account set up and you are accepted the invitation. One note here is that if you are using your own Substack for your own writing, you want to make sure that you're keeping your posts separate from the JDS Democracy Initiative. So if you're going to write something personal that's not related to the monthly quote of inspiration, put that on your own Substack and then only use the Democracy Initiative page for posting about the monthly quote. All right, so the quote calendar is for June. It was a democracy is more than a form of government. It's primarily a mode of associated living. And you'll see the hashtag right here, hashtag associated living. When you do your Substack post, you're going to want to tag it with this hashtag. And I'll show you when I demonstrate a few things later how to find that. And then in July, we're going to, instead of having a new quote, we've decided to do a 2-month cycle instead of a 1-month cycle. So in the first month, we'll have the inspirational quote that everybody will write their pieces around. And then in July, we're going to engage in conversation and dialogue where we will read each other's pieces, comment in the comment section. We're also going to try a chat feature starting here at the beginning of July. We're just going to jump in and see what the chat feature on Substack is like. So that's the 2-month cycle. And then in August, our quote will be democracy has to be born anew every generation, and education is its midwife. And then we will engage in dialogue. And we will tell you, did we decide on the hashtag, Barb? Which one was it that you said you liked?
I said
Democracy anew.
democracy anew, I thought.
Okay. Yeah. Forgot to add that. So the structure, like I was just explaining, it's going to be a bi-monthly quote. So the first month we write and the second month we chat. Of course, if you, every other month there's a new quote, and the purpose is for us to write based on our varied perspectives. Now, in the first month, you have your options to write on Substack, a short or long form post, or you can submit a letter to the editor or op-ed to a different media outlet, and then share that link to that article onto the Substack. And in the second month, we focus on reading and responding to each other. Just a quick note, if you don't post your original piece in the first month, please still post it in the second month that is dedicated to conversation or dialogue. So it doesn't mean that at the very end of the month, you're shut off and we're putting up a boundary on you posting your pieces. If you need that extra week or two, please take that and still post. So especially right now where we're just getting started, if you want to still respond to the June quote and you haven't yet, you still have time to do that. So we're going to talk a quick second here about word count ranges, and these are not set in stone word count ranges. These are just the averages that came up when I looked it up. So a letter to the editor seems to average around 150 to 300 words. An op-ed averages between 500 and 800 words. For the letters to the editor or the op-eds, you can either send us the link, so send it to Barb or to me, and we can post it as a note on the JDS Substack. I'll show you what that means when I do some demonstrations here. Or you can do it yourself. You can follow the steps as a contributor to post the note on Substack using your own account. Whoa. Oh, that's my cat touching the keyboard.
Hey, there we go.
All right. Let me move my cat. Okay. When you write a note on Substack, there is actually no limit. So notes, there's two different things on Substacks. There's note and long form post. A note is kind of like your Twitter feed or Blue Sky feed, where you get your short pieces. There's no limit though on how many words a note can be, but for a note, you want to keep it shorter. So average 200, 800 words would be quite a lot for a note, but I have seen some longer ones. And then the other option on Substack is to write a longer essay blog piece and you publish it on the Substack. And again, there's no limit on how long these can be. So you're going to want to look at probably 500 plus. If you're under 500 words, that might be better for a note. Over 500 words might be better for a long form post. But of course, it's up to you. All right, so posting as a contributor. So I'm going to do a quick side by side here so you can see how all of this works. Okay. So this is the most difficult piece to figure out at the beginning, but once you get the hang of it, you'll know exactly what to do. So on Substack, you will have two different landing pages. So what you're looking at here are my personal landing pages for Substack. This is my personal homepage here. And then the other landing page is this one, which is my notes feed. And you'll see the different notes that I've posted. In order to get to the point where you can post as a contributor, you need to follow these steps. So, okay. So the first thing you're going to do is click on your profile icon in the right-hand corner. And then you'll click on right underneath that your name with your handle. And when you do that, it pulls you to this notes page that I was just showing you. When you get to the notes page, you have right underneath your name, handle, and quick bio that you write about yourself. You'll see your own homepage and the JDS homepage. You're going to click on the JDS homepage, and it brings you to our Democracy Initiative with our logo and all of our articles. And then when you get there, you click on Dashboard up in the right-hand corner. And a quick pause here so we can look at our dashboard that we have 53 subscribers. Wow, we jumped up from yesterday, Barb. We have over 1,000 views now. Yesterday it was under 1,000, so we've got quite a few views. And we have our 30-day open rate is almost 55%, which is a very good open rate. That means this is the percentage of people that are opening the email, which is a very high open rate. So we are successful there so far. All right, so once you get here, that was just a side note to show you we're doing good. All right, so once you click on Dashboard, in order to post, you're going to click on the button that says New Post. And that's when all of the different options come up. Text post is long form. Then you can do a video post if you're into doing videos and TikToks. You can do an audio post if we were talking about this yesterday, that maybe if you wanted to engage in conversation with somebody around the inspirational quote of the month, you can, like podcast style, you can do that. And then here's where you post a note, which is like a tweet. And we're asking people to hold off on chat thread for right now because we're gonna experiment with that here in the month of July to see what a chat thread is. And you can also go live if you want and do a live video. But for the most part, I think we're going to be using text post, which is long form, and new note. I'll pause there. Any questions yet? Okay. So that's the instructions for posting as a contributor. So you saw how you'll switch back and forth between your own homepage and the JDS homepage. Then for formatting, we want to try and format all of our posts somewhat similarly. So we have when you put in your title, in the subtitle, we want everyone to have the month and the year. And then at the top of the post, you can use a pull quote or a block quote, whichever one you want, to show the quote of the month at the top, and then list the source or the book for the quote. So these are the three formatting guidelines for a long form post. And I'm going to show you how to do all of this in a demonstration in a moment. To do a pull, so you'll have two options. There's the block quote and the pull quote. You can do either one. Just the pull quote, I think this looks a little more aesthetically pleasing at the top because it centers it. So you first type the quote at the top in the body. You either highlight or leave your cursor directly next to the quote. And then you click on this quote icon at the top, and you have your two options for a block quote or a pull quote. And the pull quote looks like this. And I'll show you what a block quote looks like when I do a demonstration. And then at the very end, when you go to publish your piece, there will be a tag associated with each quote. So for June, it's Associated Living. For August, it will be Democracy Anew. And when you go to publish, you will add the tags right here. And there's like a drop down where you can select your own, you can type your own. For
And
notes,
you can
oh,
add
go ahead.
any tags you want to. We're just asking
Mhm.
anybody add that one tag. So if we searched for those, we would get all of those, that cluster of posts together.
Yeah. And what I'm hoping happens is if you post your op-ed or letter to the editor as a note, you should also hashtag it. It'll just be just like you type it out like you would in a tweet. You don't have to worry about tagging it like this. And it should still come up during the search process. So this is what it would look like if you do a letter to the editor or op-ed. Once it's accepted and published by the news media outlet, share your link to your piece using the notes feature. You could also, like we said, send it to me and I'll publish it as a note for you. And we already have an example of that. Dr. Kathleen Kessen's, it's not a letter to the editor or an op-ed. She posted an essay on a different website. So that's also an option. And we have the link to her website right here in a note. So after you get through all of this, the other thing we're asking folks to do is to interact on Substack. You can like people's posts and notes, you can restack them, you can comment on them. We're going to experiment with a chat feature here in this month of July. The other options are if you're on Blue Sky, Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, you can share links to your own post and other posts to drive traffic from those social media platforms over to Substack. The key is we want to increase the traffic on the Substack page. But we want to interact with each other's writings to boost visibility, because increased engagement with likes, restacks, and comments helps push our posts to a wider audience. So basically what we're doing is we're trying to manipulate the algorithm. So if I go through from my own Substack page, not from the JDS page, and I like everybody's posts, then that pushes it into the algorithm, and somebody who wouldn't otherwise maybe look at John Dewey's Society Democracy Initiative will randomly see our post in their Discover feed. So likes, restacks, comments, you don't have to do all three with every single post. Just do one or two. If you want to do all three, that's fine. But either way, the more we interact with each other on Substack, the wider our audience will be. In the month that we've set aside for engaging in the dialogue, there's a few different options. And I'm sure there's other ways to engage in dialogue that we don't even know about yet, but these are the ones that we do know about. You can comment on a note or a long form post. You can restack a note or a long form post with your own little quip. I'm going to show you what all of this looks like here in a minute. You can actually restack a quote from a long form post, which is a really neat feature that I'm going to show you how to do. And if there's already a comment, you can reply to somebody else's comment on the long form posts. And then the chat feature, like I've been saying, is coming soon. Okay, so let me do a little bit of demonstration here. So the first thing we want to do is look at how to add the tags. So I'm going to use barbs as an example. Oh, you know what? So this is also good to know. If you want to go back, if you realized you forgot to add the date, you want to go back in and edit anything you put on Substack, you can edit, but you cannot do it from your phone. You can only edit from your laptop, just so you know. So if you have the app on your phone, you cannot edit from your phone. So to edit, you'll click on those three dots and click edit. And I'm going to go ahead and add that this is the June 2025. And then
All right, now I wasn't able to do that for some reason. It didn't want to let me.
it wouldn't let you do that.
Yeah, I did click on the three dots and then I went in. Now I tried to put it before the tags. Maybe I needed to put it after the tags.
Maybe.
Are the tags part of the subtitle?
Yes, you have the tags in the subtitle.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, so to do the pull quote at the top, so I've got the pull quote here. Oops. What? Okay, hold on. Okay, so I'm leaving my cursor right next to the quote. And then I go up to the quote icon and you will pull quote it. And it puts the two lines on the top and the bottom and pulls it quote. Here's what a block quote looks like. Block quote puts the line off to the side. So I'm just suggesting pull quote because it really sets it apart at the very top. And then you'll add the book that it's from. And then your post is all here. That's Barb's post. So we've just edited it. So while I'm here in Barb's post, I'll just show you a couple of things. There's style options. So when you click on all of the different style options, there's the different headings, which gives you different sizes of font, and some of them are bold, some of them are italicized. You've got all of your styles up here, bold, italic, strike through. I'm going to show you on my post that I hyperlinked a few things. You can hyperlink, you can add images, you can add audio, you can insert video. You've got your bullets. You can add different buttons. You can add a leave a comment button, send a message button, subscribe buttons. And then here you can add dividers if you wanted to divide up your work. You can do a code block, which would be if you wanted to insert some code from a different application. That would be for somebody who wants to do more advanced posting. You can add a financial chart. You can even do poetry. So if you click the poetry button, it'll set off a line as poetry and a poll. All right, so we've made the edits. So I'm going to click update. And then right here, you'll see where it has add tags. This is where Barb has added her tags. You can add an image to go with your posting. If you pull an image off the internet, which I'll show you in one of my posts, that I pulled an image from an article, you always want to make sure that somewhere in the at the bottom of your article, you're providing a citation for that image. So you want to make sure that you're showing where it's from. The images do help as well. So if everybody chooses this image, they're not really set apart. So you can try and find a unique image for your article if you want. And then I'm going to click update now. And it is live. Another neat feature is after you publish your post, you can share it directly to Facebook, Twitter, or LinkedIn or Instagram. And then down at the bottom, you also have these images that you can create. And I'll show you what you can do with these images. So you could download the image and then use it on another social media platform. So I just want to show you in my post how I used hyperlinks. I used hyperlinks to link to the different organizations and a little information about Lincoln Douglas Square, which is a monument in Alton, Illinois, to give a little historical background. I also used a hyperlink for the word corporeality. I hyperlinked to the dictionary definition because I thought if we're trying to reach a wider audience, the word corporeality might not be one that's in everybody's vocabulary. So I was just trying to think of unique ways to use those hyperlinks. And then down at the bottom, you'll see I used one of those heading features. So I used heading number 6 and then put the cover photo credit to right here. And then that's the cover photo when you see it shared. And how I used those cover photos is I used that cover photo. Oops, let me go back to I used that cover photo that I downloaded on my Facebook page. So on my Facebook, I put copy and pasted the first 2 paragraphs from my essay and then to entice them and then said to read more, follow the link and subscribe for free. So it's a nice little way to promote with an image and when you click on that link, it takes you right over to the Substack. I did the same thing on Blue Sky. I promoted my article. I also just promoted on LinkedIn. So here's my article. I also promoted on Facebook and LinkedIn our Substack in general. So you can also do that just to get reach to a bigger audience there. What else was there to show you? Oh, the notes feature. So the notes page on JDS looks like this. And oh, the pull quote I wanted to show you. This is a really neat thing. Let me go back and just pull up Susan's. Okay, so let's say I'm reading through Susan's Substack post and I really like one of the quotes that she has. So let's go to, just say, all to say, we'll just highlight this whole paragraph. So when I highlight that paragraph in Shay's article, I can restack it as a note. And then when I do that, it pulls the quote. I can change the background color and I can write my own little quip at the top. Check out Shay Myers work or something like that. And then I post it as a note, and it will post to my own Substack. It doesn't post to the JDS Substack because you see up in the left-hand corner, it's my icon. So that's indicating that it's going to post to my notes page. And that's actually a good thing because that means it's reaching my audience and pulling my audience over to the JDS Substack. And then what we can do as JDS is if we see that you've posted a note, me or Barb, who has access to posting from JDS directly, we can share it. There's the comments down at the bottom where you can reply to each other's comments. You can like each other's comments. And then you can restack the post by clicking on restacks and restack it. I think that was about it.
Okay.
Anything else, Barb, that I'm missing?
No, Jay, how about you? Do you have questions? I've heard this twice.
That was very helpful. No, I think I have a good understanding of what to do now, especially on the posting part.
Yeah.
And, I'm sure there will be, miss a button here or there, but this video will be helpful to go back and review. Thank you, Erin. This is helpful.
Andrea, do you have questions? I can turn the recording off.
No, I think I probably just need to watch the video a few times just because I'm
And we're going to send out the slides as well. So